All right, here we go. Darryl Harper, happy to have you on the platform, my man.
Happy to be here, sir.
Yes, indeed, my man. So before we get into the interview, my man, just let the people know a little bit about yourself and let them know the songs you produce on Makaveli.
I produce White Men's World, Bomb First, Crazy, Life is an Outlaw, and Me and My Girlfriend.
How did you first get started with Duff?
I got started because I had a homeboy out of Long Beach, a guy named Chuck. Well, really, at this time, a lot of people were telling me, I started hearing every studio. I was writing in different studios, and I was writing R&B. And everybody swore they knew somebody who was in the game that could help me, and a lot of people swore they knew Suge. Just so happened, Chuck actually did. And one day, we put our little money together. I was driving my girl's Ford Temple, and we put our money together, and we put some gas in the car, and next thing you know, we was up there at Can-Am. And the first person I saw when we walked through walked through the studio door was Snoop, standing at the console. And I couldn't believe it. I'm in a room, here's the Dog Pound, here's Snoop, here go LT right there. I met LT the same day. So that's how I got to Death Row. We actually just put our little change together, went up there, and you know what's strange about that? That was the very day I went to Death Row. I got pegged a name by Snoop. They looking for something. There's a guy up there by the name of Kevin Slow Jam James. He was a local DJ at the time, and he was real popular. And he had been brought up there to do some kind of radio skit on the beginning of a song that LT was producing. And they wanted somebody to, they was figuring out who was going to do the radio scene. And that very first day, Snoop looked over and said, "Oh, let New Cuz do it." And I guess I was New Cuz. So I went in there to do the skit. I almost wanted a chain that said NC, Mr. New Cuz. I got a name for from Snoop. Yeah.
So Suge Knight, how did you first meet Suge Knight?
I first met Suge Knight. Okay, I always thought that Suge Knight was a dark-skinned gentleman. You know, I've already heard all kind of rumors about him, but I'd never saw him. But I would be in Can-Am. I was writing at Can-Am. There was a guy by the name of, rest in peace, Kevin Lewis, Ramsey Lewis' son. And he was really doing the studio managing there. And I came up there. Chuck brought me up to Can-Am, and he introduced me to a girl named Nancy Fletcher. And I went up there and wrote some stuff, and Kevin heard it. And Kevin, being a pianist also, he put me in this room, which ended up being the whack, what they called the whack room. And I would go into there where all the tapes was and write. Every day, Suge would come and open the door and just give me a nod. I'd nod back. I didn't know who he was. I thought he was just another guy because I thought Suge was a dark-skinned guy. And one day, while I was in one of the kitchens, people told me because I saw him go down the hallway and somebody said, "Man, that was Suge." I said, "That's Suge." So what I did was, the guy Kevin Lewis was playing me. And he wasn't going to introduce me to Suge, at least not yet. And I was already writing for him. I was writing for a girl, an act he had called CG. Her brother played a role, I think his name was Sleek. He played a role on Saved by the Bell, a TV show that was on, and he hung out with Snoop. And every time Suge would get there, he would always put me in the room with another track. You know, and I go in there and start writing, but I miss Suge passing, you know. So one day, I'm in there, I go to the kitchen, and there's a monitor on top of the kitchen that shows the parking lot, and I see Suge pulling out, everybody, the big old crowd, whenever he pulled up, a lot of crowd went out there. And I made up my mind to go, I made my mind up to go out there and try to, speak to him or say hey to him. So I went out there, and Kevin was nowhere around. I think he didn't think that I went out there, and Kevin was nowhere around. And I saw Suge, and I just, hey, Suge. Now, he was already curious as to who I was, because he had been coming through, nodding his head when he opened that door. I was in there writing to Kevin's stuff. So he turned around, walked up to me. I said, man, I'm D. Harp. My name Darryl Harper, man, and the only difference between Babyface and me, man, is Babyface is famous. That's what my line was. And he looked at me, he told me something about Vanilla Ice or something like, he said, man, but be here in an hour. Be here in an hour. I'm going to holler at you. He reached in and gave me a card. While he passing me the card, Kevin Lewis come out, right? And see, Suge passed me a card. Suge got off, he left his motorcycle there, jumped in a car with his homies, and left. Kevin walked up and said, man, what he give you? I said, man, he giving me his card. He said, he gonna come holler at me in an hour. He looked at the card and did like this. In other words, man, he said, go in there and finish writing them songs, man. I felt like he gave me the bullshit card, like, because the way he looked at the card, oh, he didn't get the real shit. Here, go in there and write them songs, man. Well, like that. In an hour, I'm talking about in 1 hour, man, about an hour, he came back. These 3 dudes or 2 dudes came to the door. And man, you the dude I was popping popcorn and getting soda. I almost lived on that stuff up there. And they said, you the dude that Suge wanted to talk to, talking about you sing or something. I said, yeah. He said, well, sure, you want to talk to you? I said, as soon as I pop this, he said, fuck that popcorn. These grown-ass men, they was like eager to, please like Suge. I noticed that right off. Man, I left that popcorn alone, went in there and sung to Suge. And about 15 minutes later, he told me, you got a job, bro. You got a job. He stopped the tape, and I sung him. He said, this kind of shit I can go to award show with. I got Michel'le, I got Danny Boy, I got Michel'le, and I'm bringing in a group. I guess that group was 6 feet deep. He said, this is the kind of shit we can go to war with, man. You got a job, right? We stepped out of that room. He turned around and snatched me by the pockets. Just like that. Snatched me by the pockets. He said, how you living? And I didn't understand it. I said, He said, how you living? He shoved my pockets like that. I said, man, I got $4. He said, man, be at the office tomorrow at 12, then be here at 7 so we can start working on getting you together. You got a job. I went to the office that next day. It was $1,000 there for me. I was like, man, that's how I met him.
So when you first got to Duff Road, how was it like? The environment, how was it like at Duff Road?
When I first got there, it was just like real musical. Everybody there were a lot of different producers up and down the hallways. The great Warren Campbell. We had a guy named Barney Rubble. Priest with Dog Pound. We had producers galore. You had Quick. You had Dimitri Ship, one of the Bombers producers, and his son actually ended up playing Tupac in the movie. So I mean, it was just real musical, and everybody was just getting their thing together. I wasn't around or deep in there enough to see that there was other things going on, or something could go down. I was just right now. I was basically in that room writing for Kevin, for the CG project. But it was cool. It was cool, until the meetings and stuff started happening.
So you on Duff Road. When was the first time you met Tupac?
I first had an interaction with him when he first walked through the door, coming past security. He went out to go get the kids from the van. I thought these were like terminally ill kids or something, and he picked up one girl with her wheelchair and did pop willies with her and said she gonna be with me all day. You know, I got her. And so that was my first encounter with him, but to actually talk with him and meet him, he did the same thing that Suge did. He came by what they call the whack room, and I'm in there making a beat. He pushed the door open and walked in there, listened to the beat for 1 minute. He said, "Whose is that?" And I said, "Man, I'm just fooling around. I'm just coming up." He said, "I want that. Go take it in the room." The room meant like one of the bigger rooms. We had Studio A and Studio B. So go take it in the room. I want that. He took something. You know, I made 50 phone calls after that, telling everybody, "Man, Pop done took a beat from me," you know. So then that just became regular. It was just like 2-3 times a week, he'd pop his head in. "What you got?" You press play. "I want that one. I want this one." I mean, so, because there's a few more that hasn't come out yet, that he took those too, you know. So just like everything he heard, he would want, he had an idea for, you know. So that's how I met him.
So prior to Tupac officially joining Death Row, did you know he was gonna sign with Death Row? Did you hear rumblings around Death Row that Tupac was gonna sign?
I didn't. I wasn't in that inner circle. I didn't have anything. Maybe there were the people there who would have known that was in the inner circle. I didn't know. I was just trying to fit in at that time. You know, Snoop was the big man, and Dog Pound and Quick was there. And so I was just trying to fit in and try to find my own lane at that time. I didn't know what act. So then I didn't even know about 6 Feet Deep. You know, a few things started happening then. They were just happening like that, and I didn't know. I was just in there making beats, trying to make a beat, or writing to Kevin's tracks, you know, with a little double cassette tape. He'd give me a cassette, and I'll go in there and write some stuff to it, and you know, that's how mine.
Did you see any tension from Death Row artists when Tupac joined Death Row?
Initially, no, not at all. Initially, it was like, it appeared to be like just fun and electric. You know, everything was going, but a little bit down the road, yeah, it was obvious tension, and it was uncomfortable. And it was really uncomfortable with somebody like me because I wasn't on that high status. So somebody, me trying to blend in, it was almost like you had to choose a side or something. You know, like these guys are doing this, and then I liked it when it felt like more like a family. You know, like whatever we was doing, it was just all one thing. But it became, yeah, it became real muddy with tension around there. Yeah.
What is some of the stuff you've seen that caught your attention?
I don't know if I could say a specific thing. It's like, I'm sure you've known where you walked in a room, and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, and let's say if it's something super good, you know that, hey, there's something going on here. You know, like, hey, what's happening? What was everybody? But if you walk in and it's gray, hey, what happened? What just happened? The feeling around the building was just, it was different, man. It was different. So I can't say one specific act. It wasn't people walking down the hall cussing each other out or giving each other the finger, but it wasn't the same either. And like I said, I can't put my finger on an incident where, like Daz or one of them or one of the outlaws about to, but it was people had chosen, you know, their sides and were sticking to it. You know, that's what yeah.
How do you feel about Snoop claiming he's the reason why Tupac joined Death Row?
I thought about that. I've watched a few of his interviews where he said, hey, man, I went to Suge and told him to bring Cuz over here. I believe he did. But I also believe, I got to say, I think he brought him over there to be his Robin I didn't think he was gonna come there. I didn't think he thought he was gonna come there and become Batman. I believe he became the #1, and Snoop thought that he would be his good sidekick, like his #2 guy. You know, like this would be a good 1-2 punch. But and in no time, Pac got there and became #1. That's what he wasn't second to nobody. This period, he took over fast. You know, and so yeah, I believe he could have went to Suge. It's not something I would know about, but I don't think he did it so that he could come there and dethrone him. I don't believe that. I believe he got him because he thought that would be a good additive to the unit, but he would still be #1 because he was #1 around the world. And he was definitely #1 at Death Row. So I don't think he did it so that he could sit in the second seat. You know, Pac just blew up like major. Yeah. And I do recall there was a time when I was going down the hallway, Suge and Pac were talking in the hallway. They would just look like finalizing a conversation. And I don't know what was said before, but I do know that Suge said, but man, be respectful. This is the house that Snoop built. And so whatever the dialogue was before that, I don't know. I wasn't privy to that. But I remember him saying, yeah, but be respectful, man. This is the house that Snoop built. So it was a different vibe, man. He took over rapidly. He became #1 rapid, fast. That was for the interviewers, for sports people who came through, movie people who came through. They all wanted to go see Pac. They wanted to go whatever session he was in, whatever studio he was in. And sometimes it was almost like Snoop wasn't there. He went from the biggest thing in the world to now everybody's talking to Pac. All I can render is my opinion, and I really believe at that point Snoop was at the top of the mountain. There was nobody cooler. There was nobody, and Snoop was #1. Like, not just at Death Row, but around the world. And I don't believe that he had got to a point where he wanted to surrender one. He wanted to give that role up. I don't want to be #1 no more. Let's bring Pac. I think he thought that Pac would be great for the label, but I didn't think he thought he would become #1 on the label. I don't believe that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't believe it. Everybody knew it, man. It's like when you go out at night and look in the sky, you see stars everywhere. But every so once in a while, you see one of the ones that's really bright, super, look closer and everything. That was Pac. So it was a lot of stars. There's a lot of stars up there. But Pac, he was that bright one, you know. There was really like, his electricity was real, whether he was on a song or not. It was just his whole presence was there. He filled up the whole room. You dig what I'm saying? He even to me, even on their videos, man, he's much more animated, and he has a lot more electricity. He has the drive of the. And Snoop Dogg, to me, Snoop Dogg appears to be the Eddie Kendricks, and then Pac is the David Ruffin. You know, the one that's really driving for us. You remember the Temptations. You know, so I was just using that as a snare. But yeah, it's his energy was just unmatchable, bro. It took over fast.